Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
We were the hollow echoes of hosannas once spoken in love.
Were you in the garden when the disciples fell asleep?
We were the betrayal in Judas's kiss.
Were you in the courtyard when the cock crowed?
We were the denial in Peter's mouth.
Were you among the scoffers when Jesus was flogged?
We were the whip in the soldier's hand.
Were you in Pilate's chamber when he washed his hands of Jesus' fate?
We were the hatred of the crowd, the indifference in Pilate's heart.
Were you there when the soldiers dressed Jesus as a king?
We were the mockery in the crown of thorns.
Were you among the spectators at Golgotha?
We were the nails that pierced Jesus' hands and feet.
Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
We were the silence when no birds sang.
Holy One, where do you go when all hope fades? When we cry out with the psalmist, my God, why have you forsaken me?" In the midst of our pain and despair, we strain to see you charging to our rescue. Yet, in our disbelief and dismay, we face the emptiness of your absence. Your ways are beyond us, Holy One, shrouding us in mystery. Be with us in our hour of greatest need, and do not abandon us when we deny you.
He came out and went, as was his custom, to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples followed him. When he reached that place, he said to them, "Pray that you may not come into the time of trial." Then he withdrew from them about a stone's throw, knelt down, and prayed, "Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." Then an angel from heaven appeared to him and gave him strength. In his anguish he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down on the ground. When he got up from prayer, he came to the disciples and found them sleeping because of grief. And he said to them, "Why are you sleeping? Get up and pray that you may not come into the time of trial."
While he was still speaking, suddenly a crowd came, and the one called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. He approached Jesus to kiss him, but Jesus said to him, "Judas, is it with a kiss that you are betraying the Son of Man?" When those who were around him saw what was coming, they asked, "Lord, should we strike with the sword?" Then one of them struck the slave of the high priest and cut off his right ear. But Jesus said, "No more of this." And he touched his ear and healed him. Then Jesus said to the chief priests, the officers of the temple police, and the elders who had come for him, "Have you come out with swords and clubs as if I were a bandit? When I was with you day after day in the temple, did you not lay hands on me? But this is your hour and the power of darkness."
So the soldiers, their officer, and the Jewish police arrested Jesus and bound him. First they took him to Ananias, who was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, the high priest that year. Caiaphas was the one who had advised the Jews that it was better to have one person die for the people.
Conflicts When they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down together, Peter sat among them. Then a servant girl, seeing him in the firelight, stared at him and said, "This man also was with him." But he denied it, saying, "Woman, I do not know him." A little later, someone else, on seeing him, said, "You also are one of them." But Peter said, "Man, I am not." Then about an hour later, yet another kept insisting, "Surely this man also was with him, for he is Galilean." But Peter said, "Man, I do not know what you are talking about." At that moment, while he was still speaking, the cock crowed. The Lord turned and looked at Peter. Then Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had said to him, "Before the cock crows today, you will deny me 3 times." And he went out and wept bitterly.
There is no warmth in the fire.
Our blood runs cold as the night.
The one we love is in peril.
Our courage blows away like the wind.
Strangers recognize our fellowship with Jesus.
Our denial pierces the soul like the cock's crow pierces the dawn.
There is no warmth in the fire.
Our tears flow cold as night.
Then the high priest questioned Jesus about his disciples and about his teaching. Jesus answered, "I have spoken openly to the world. I have always taught in synagogues and in the temple where all the Jews come together. I have said nothing in secret. Why do you ask me? Ask those who heard what I said to them. They know what I said." When he had said this, one of the police standing nearby struck Jesus on the face, saying, "Is that how you answer the high priest?" Jesus answered, "If I have spoken wrongly, testify to the wrong. But if I have spoken rightly, why do you strike me?" Then Ananias sent him bound to Caiaphas, the high priest.
When morning came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people conferred together against Jesus in order to bring about his death. They bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate the governor.
Jesus wept the falling tear, in mercy flowed beyond all bound. When Jesus bore a trembling fear, seized all the guilty world around. When Jesus wept the falling
When Judas, his betrayer, saw that Jesus was condemned, he repented and brought back the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders. He said, "I have sinned by betraying innocent blood." But they said, "What is that to us? See to it yourself." Throwing down the pieces of silver in the temple, he departed, and he went and hanged himself. But the chief priests, taking the pieces of silver, said, "It is not lawful to put them into the treasury, since they are blood money." After conferring together, they used them to buy the potter's field as a place to bury foreigners. For this reason, that field has been called the field of blood to this day. Then was fulfilled what had been spoken through the prophet Jeremiah. And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of the one on whom a price had been set, on whom some of the people of Israel had set a price, and they gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord commanded me.
Jesus stands condemned.
Stop this madness.
It is too late.
We repent of our sin.
You have been well paid.
We don't want your blood money.
It's yours all the same.
Stop this madness.
It is too late. Then Pilate entered the headquarters again, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you ask this on your own, or did others tell you about me?" Pilate replied, "I'm not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here." Pilate asked him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." And Pilate asked him, "What is truth?"
Oh, my soul. will sing. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing and joyfully, and through eternity I'll sing on, I'll sing on, and through eternity I'll sing on.
Now at the festival, the governor was accustomed to release a prisoner for the crowd, anyone whom they wanted. At that time, they had a notorious prisoner called Jesus Barabbas. So after they gathered, Pilate said to them, "Whom do you want me to release for you? Jesus Barabbas, or Jesus who is called the Messiah?" For he realized that it was out of jealousy that they had handed him over. While he was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent word to him, "Have nothing to do with that innocent man, for today I have suffered a great deal because of a dream about him." Now the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowds to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus killed. The governor again said to them, "Which of the two do you want me to release for you?" And they said, "Barabbas." Pilate said to them, "Then what should I do with Jesus, who is called the Messiah?" All of them said, "Let him be crucified." Then he asked, "Why? What evil has he done?" But they shouted all the more, "Let him be crucified." So when Pilate saw that he could do nothing, but rather that a riot was beginning, he took some water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, "I am innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves."
Holy God, it is easier to wash our hands of responsibility than it is to stand up for what we believe. It is easier to defer the judgments of others than it is to take a principled stand. When we take the easy way out, forgive us, O God. Fill us with the courage of your Son, that we may cast off our darkness and embrace your glorious light.
So he released Barabbas for them, and after flogging Jesus, he handed him over to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the governor's headquarters, and they gathered the whole cohort around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and after twisting some thorns into a crown, they put it on his head. They put a reed in his right hand and knelt before him and mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" They spat on him and took the reed and struck him on the head. And after mocking him, they stripped him of the robe and put his own clothes on him. And then they led him away to be crucified. Jesus walked this lonesome valley. He had to walk it by himself. Oh, nobody else could walk it for him. He had to walk it by himself.
As we walk a lonesome valley, we do not walk it by ourselves, for God sent His Son to walk it with us. We do not walk it by ourselves. Jesus walked this lonesome valley. He had to walk it by himself. Oh, nobody else could walk it for him. He had to walk it by himself.
As they went out, they came upon a man from Cyrene named Simon. They compelled this man to carry his cross. And when they came to a place called Golgotha, which means place of a skull, they offered him wine to drink, mixed with gall. But when he tasted it, he would not drink it. And when they had crucified him, they divided his clothes amongst themselves by casting lots. Then they sat down there and kept watch over him. Over his head, they put the charge against him, which read, "This is Jesus, King of the Jews."
Oh, sacred head now wounded, with grief and shame weighed down, now scornfully surrounded, with thorns your only crown. How pale you are with anguish, with sore abuse and scorn. How does your visage languish, which once was bright as morn? What you, dear Savior, suffered was all for sinners made.
And the people stood by, watching. But the leaders scoffed at him, saying, "He saved others. Let him save himself, if he is the Messiah of God, his chosen one." One of the criminals who were hanged there kept deriding him and saying, "Are you not the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other rebuked him, saying, "Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we indeed have been condemned justly, for we are getting what we deserve for our deeds. But this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your..." "Truly, I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." Come to the cross and feel the weight of the world.
We bring the weight of our sins.
Come to the cross and feel the weight of the world.
We bring the weight of our desertions and our betrayals.
Come to the cross and feel the weight of the world.
We bring the weight of our accusations and scorn.
Come to the cross and feel the weight of the world.
We bring the weight of our lives.
When it was noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3 p.m. At 3 o'clock, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?"
I got something out of order. When some of the bystanders heard it, they said, "Listen, he is calling for Elijah." And someone ran, filled a sponge with sour wine, put it on a stick, and gave it to him to drink, saying, "Wait, let us see whether Elijah will come to take him down."
Then Jesus cried again with a loud voice and breathed his last. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook and the rocks were split.
On which the